Hi everyone, it's Theo from Spectrum Gardening. So it's the end of July and my peas are pretty much done. You can see that they're already starting to die. They're not going to grow any more. They're not going to produce any more than what they already have. So we have a couple different choices we can be making now, and that's going to be determining what we can be kind of doing with this space in the near future. The first choice I could do is leave the plant in the ground for as long as possible. And then that way I can save seed. If I'm leaving them in the ground, all these green pods here, like that, they will eventually dry, just like this, and then I'll be able to pop them open and save my seed from that. However, we buy our seed in bulk, so I probably have about 4 pounds of each of these variety of peas, so I don't really need to save my seed. So I don't really need to be leaving them in the ground. I can be ripping them out and planting another crop right there. So peas are natural nitrogen fixers, just like all legumes are. Any type of beans, chickpeas, field peas, things like that, they all fix nitrogen in the soil. So the way that that works is there's a few different bacteria that live in the soil. One of them is called rhizobacteria, and that'll actually take the nitrogen from inside the air of the soil and it'll attach it, it'll feed it to the beans or the peas themselves. And then the beans or peas will feed that bacteria carbohydrates in return. It's kind of a symbiotic relationship. So if you pull out your beans or your peas, you see that hole over there, I pulled some out, you're going to be missing out on the nitrogen. So I pulled out a couple just so I can show you. So you see those clumps right there and right there, those are clumps of nitrogen. And if I'm pulling them out, I'm going to be removing them from the soil totally. What I'm going to be wanting to do is taking a pair of scissors and just cutting everything at the soil level. So all the roots and all the nitrogen stays below the soil. And what that's actually going to be doing is going to be, quote unquote, adding more nitrogen to my soil, it's also going to be making it more readily available for the other plants I'll be putting in. That's why it's so common to be using either field peas or other type of legumes to fix your nitrogen in your soil. You're not really fixing it, you're just making it more available than it was before. Even though the bacteria is all through the soil, sometimes it's not in very high concentrates. So that's why they'll sell kind of rhizobacteria packets where you can coat your peas and beans in. Myself, I've never really used that in the past few years. When I started gardening, yeah, okay, I bought it, I used it. It was okay but to be honest, I didn't notice a huge difference in my yield of the peas or the amount of nitrogen that I was getting underneath the soil. So the thing is when you have new soil, your ecosystem and the bacteria isn't really built up in there. So if this is a brand new time planting in the bed, you're not going to be getting big clumps of nitrogen through it, per se. That's kind of why I had to pull out this whole area right here to get actually a half decent clump to show. But if you've been planting in the soil for a little while, then yeah, it's great. You're going to have a lot more bacteria and a lot more things inside that are going to be able to start the process for you. So just want to take a pair of scissors or a pair of shears or whatever you have handy and to just cut the bottom of the peas like here, right above the As I was setting up for my next shot, I actually looked down and I saw hundreds, if not thousands of little bugs. Everything from centipedes to wood bugs to small little spiders. I'm not sure if you can still see them, but they're pretty small in there. That's exactly what you want in your garden. You want this ecosystem. You want it to be full of bugs. You want worms and you want birds to be around, because that's what's actually going to be building up your soil. If you can see that beetle right there. So what the peas were doing, they were actually providing shade, and they were providing shelter for all the bugs and all the insects that are now seen. Ideally, you want as many crops and as many things planted that it shelters your soil, so not only the biology in the soil can be sheltered, but also the ecosystem in the soil and that lives on the soil can also have a chance to flourish and have a home and a habitat.